Disciplined stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills.
Love and light. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners Podcast with your host, Ellevan.
And my name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness.
The Disciplined Stoners!
Hey, Win!
Oh my... Yes.
We got a new thing.
Oh, right. We need to tell you about our new thing.
Support the show now on Patreon and get a bunch of private perks.
And welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners.
I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness.
And today,
we have a legend in these streets, a buzzing, beautiful, bubbly, sweet face with the depth to her that we're yet to fully understand.
She is the territory manager for two awesome brands. That's correct, right? Yeah. For Dankcraft, which we will talk about and is right here in front of us.
You've seen this. We've
and
smoked it.
Yeah, you have. We have. Yeah, the last couple of episodes, you'll probably see it in there. And Muskoka Grown, which are two wonderful brands in the legal market here in Canada. And she's also just like the most lovely person with dogs. And we all like people who are kind to dogs.
And an incredible connective tissue in the cannabis industry.
Yeah, you've done so much for us, actually. We were talking about you before you got here, and we were just like, we are just really grateful to have known you because our trajectory for, being in the industry and in the business has, taken off partly because of you and, who you've connected us to.
So without further ado, get your joints up for our friend, Elyse. And her plants.
Yes, that's exactly. And her plants.
Thanks, guys. Did you need a really long, extended intro?
Like the longest. And her plants.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on.
I'm still this is such a weird concept.
I know.
I watch, you watch something for so long and then you're like, oh, I get to do that?
People freak out when they hear themselves and we forget. And welcome back to another episode.
The same episode, actually.
The same episode, right.
Okay,
But
E, how
with
are
batteries included.
you? Yeah. Oh, see?
Yeah.
That's why you are who you are. How you doing?
I'm good.
How was your day today?
Day's been good. Talked to a lot of retail partners.
You do this a lot every day.
I talk to a lot. I manage the whole province, so there's a lot of people to talk to.
So what do you do? The vibe, you walk into a store and people probably already know you.
Funnily enough, being the only sort of body outside of my partner in crime and the loveliest human, Natalia, so her and I kind of tag
Shout
team.
out.
Yeah,
Natalia.
you guys know Nat.
So sweet.
And then obviously John. But, it's a really small company, and so to manage the whole province, I don't get into as many stores as I would like to.
But you're really out here.
But I try to be. So my biggest focus is finding my tribe. And so that makes it so much easier is once you find your tribe of stores and people that believe in what you're doing and that you believe in what they're doing, it's such a beautiful partnership that way versus this transactional relationship all the time. You give me money and so
You have a very good, clear vision of momentum.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very nice. The people that you bring together makes a lot of sense.
I would say that I do specialize in connecting humans. I love to do that. My biggest thing is always if I can help you get somewhere, or if I can connect you to somebody that
Is that
can
on your
help
LinkedIn?
you. I don't think it should be though, right?
It should be on your LinkedIn.
It really should be connector.
Yeah.
It's a true mark of a winner.
Yeah,
It's
but
a true mark of a winner.
I just think that's what cannabis is, and that's why I got into it, was to be able to, meet folks like yourself who I wouldn't have otherwise had the honor of meeting.
We're so lucky.
And then, bringing you to events that we're hosting to get you to meet other like-minded folks, and
that's been so valuable for us, like just connecting with like good-hearted folks who are like trying to do cool things. It's like you're a radar or a filter.
And like, I don't know, I mean, we can get a little bit more into what you do, but like, you've definitely created a lot of community within the legal market with like the events that you run. And that's not the industry norm right now. And it's really like you're ahead of the curve in that, and and I don't know if you like see the benefit from that, like fiscally or whatever, but like there's huge long-term benefit in that. I think just by being one of the first sort of leaders in like creating cannabis. Not only cannabis friendly events, but like cannabis inspired events, like not just like, hey, come and like, let's get fucked up. Like come and like learn if that's what you want to do. Like you don't have to learn, but there's options to learn at the things that you host, and then also have a really good time as well as a cannabis consumer strictly. Because I understand that there's a lot of people who use cannabis who use a bunch of other things, but like I feel like there's a space where cannabis users just generally use cannabis and maybe some other psychedelic drugs, occasionally. And it's that event, those types of events really need like the heart of a canna user, I think. Otherwise, it's like, what are we doing here?
So Winnie is the water side of this place. I am the fire side.
Oh,
Let me
there
put
it
it like
is.
this. You don't know how incredibly rare and important you are, because like you are actually being everything that I wish happened in the legal industry that is not happening like anywhere else. Like
That we know of.
That we know of. Like,
it might be, but we don't know of it.
no, it's like I'm a purist. Because I'm an artist.
Yes, you are.
I am.
Yes.
And I'll go as far as to actually like kind of like if it seems too corporatized, and I know that the heart of this culture should be fed by heart, not box thinking. I don't try to attack drinking, but I find it funny that so many cannabis events, there's very little smoking.
Or
and
it's
I'm
like you're
what
put
the
off
fuck
to.
are you doing?
It's like, oh, you've got to go out to this section,
And
and
it's
you're
like-
like, where's the section? It's like, why isn't all of this my
Like-
section? I'm confused.
Bless. So like you are living proof that it can be done right.
Well,
It's important.
to the events. I mean, again, the people that have hosted events in cannabis are incredible. You look at Kind.
Yeah, I don't
and
wanna
what
talk
they've
shit.
done.
I don't wanna talk shit,
and
but
it's not a
you're very
talking
much
shit.
doing it right.
It's just figuring out, and it's difficult because there's not.
And it's scary.
It's
Baby.
difficult. It's scary. There's not a lot of. There's almost next to no places indoors that you can host.
But
so
you
it's
even found a way
tricky.
around that. You did those park sessions.
Well, yeah. I
Like,
mean,
that
the
was
summer.
so smart. Like it's just like the fact that you moved on that idea.
well,
and
and
it was
that
just
is
so
that wasn't
good.
all. That's. I mean, the parks and sesh are so much fun. The big kudos has to go out to Johnny from Carmel and
Lit.
Pedro from Medifarm.
Yes,
two
yes.
of my favorites, and actually Sean from Cosmic Charlie's
Mm-hmm.
and Charlie even. So we were in the park for their 1 year or 1 year or 2 year, I can't remember. Sorry, guys. I smoke. But we were in the
Short-term
park,
memory loss.
and we just started. The three of us just started kind of chatting about the community and cannabis and the events and the fact that they're very expensive for
Sean
small brands.
is such a good guy, such a considerate guy, such a nice like,
Has one of the best smiles that I've ever seen.
sweetheart. Like
Lights up the absolute whole entire building that he's in with his smile.
didn't lose his like inner child or something. Like didn't lose it. Like still
Yeah.
onto that sweetness.
I know, yay.
Yeah,
Sean.
he leads with his heart, it feels.
Yeah, exactly. And so the three of us were just chatting, and I kind of looked at both of them, and I was like, what? Like, why don't we just throw our own event?
Yeah.
And like, why don't we just do it in the park? We were standing in Trinity Bellwood, so we're like, why don't we do this? So, obviously those are two massive powerhouse brands.
Yeah.
And they're, Muskoka, we're definitely we're there.
Yeah.
We've come a long way, and
1000%.
it was just, how do we get folks to come to something that's just focused on cannabis?
Yeah.
And how do we get people out in a space that's like inviting, a park, right? Old school. Where did a lot of us start smoking? Was like the park, back of a high school.
It felt familiar.
Yeah, it was
felt familiar.
you know, and also it's like the summertime. Let's be out, let's get the vitamin D. Like there was all of these little components. And so we came together, and Final Bell joined us for the first one as well. Choi, another fantastic human. And then we threw the first one. And from that stemmed, you know, John looking at me and going like, hey, E, like, why don't we just see if we can throw these like every single week for the entire summer. Like it was that ad hoc.
Yes.
And I know that it's harder for other brands. Like that was a lot to commit every single week to hosting this. The reality is
But then they rotated.
But then and that was it. And I also wanted to show consumers, but also, you know, bud tenders and owners and managers of stores that we can all coexist as brands in the same space and support and uplift each other. It doesn't matter that, like, yes, you're my competitor. We're competing in the store together, but we can all still hold space. And because, again, the whole point is moving this plant forward.
Yes.
Right?
And it doesn't make any sense to go the competitive route now. That's it. That's a lose-lose game for almost everyone.
You only have each other. It's not like Belvedere and Captain Morgan's competing for ad space on the bus. It's very different. The atmosphere is different. We need to have each other's backs.
Yep. I also just don't want to see brands disappear. Like that's the other thing too, right?
It's
like
tough.
and so you want to be able to create a space where a very small brand could show up, or a very established brand. But what we did do is we did err on the side of the brands that aren't generally represented at a lot of these events.
Yes. Because
You know?
it's so out
Because
of access.
It's just you look at, you know, your budgets,
Yeah.
and you have to just sort of say, you know, what's going to be the best, you know, use of this money. And I think
5K
until
for a
we
space at a
have
fucking
that's really hard.
conference
I mean,
thing,
I
yeah.
understand it, and like yes,
It has
the
to be.
value is there, and
Yeah.
you know they
Respect.
yeah, respect always to them, but it's just, you know, can we make things that like don't cost anything? Like the amount of money, like we didn't charge, that was the other thing, like no LP paid to be a part of this event. It was just a welcome, and the only thing that I asked was that they bring a park snack.
Oh,
Because like
you're so cool. And
that's it. You just want a snack. Like
you're
gonna
the-
be in my head. You might as well smoke and snack.
I love to hear that that's how it worked on the back end with the attitude, because what I saw when I got there is an actual very on point brand represented pop-up educational process for every product. I felt closer to every brand when I was actually there in my true element. You guys didn't just toss like, yes, there was bottles of water and chips, but it was
pizza.
No, I'm saying you didn't just like stop there as have a couple light snacks. There was fucking catering at one. There was, like, chicken
the original
sauté.
one. Again, shout out to Choi.
Okay,
Super fresh.
and
You had those
Big Troy.
Those were
chicken
fucking
skewers.
good. Those
Good.
chicken
But
skewers.
then-
Everybody
were
go to Super Fresh.
Everyone go to Super Fresh. And so that was amazing. So the congregation around the snack table there, it was like the
And
best birthday
everyone
party
also
ever.
seemed to get the vibe, like the brands that were representing there. It's like
Yeah.
we talked, that the type of education that was offered there was like, let's get to know each other, and then let me tell you why I love this.
The people were
like that
actually
was the type of
stoners.
education, and it was like,
Like, I
oh
hate
man, I
corporate.
didn't, because it's tough sometimes at events where you're like hello, and then you're like, here, let me tell you about this.
Yes.
And that's because that's what needs to happen. You
Yep.
have a brand message. We've been brand ambassadors before.
Yeah.
Like that, your message needs to get across. You're here for a reason.
I've brought this up to companies who do have like big activations, and I was like, honestly, like you got to keep that corporate pitchy shit the fuck over at like juice. Like, you know, get like tell your promo models who promote your juice to get all corporate and brand mission pitchy, but like for weed people, I know this as a performer, they see right through you. Like stoners, they're just like, you better talk to me on some flavor. Like, you better fucking talk to me on some cool shit.
Like, talk to me as like
Talk
a
to me
human
like
being.
a human.
Like
And also don't judge me based on how much or little of this thing I use, right? Because
Right.
that's the other thing is like cannabis can be intimidating just because it's a plant you don't know. But then it can be further complicated by egos and this sort of sense of
Right.
like, well, you know, yeah, you don't do this, or you don't dab, or
Yeah.
no, again, not just
No,
use
no,
dab.
no
that was the
beef,
first thing
but
that came into
some
my head. But
cultures, yeah.
just it was an intimidation factor, right? Where if somebody, and I've had friends say like, well, I only do edibles. What do you mean you only do edibles? That there's no only. That's still you're doing edibles.
You do
You're
edibles.
Yeah, like you don't
Yeah.
have to
Cannabis.
because you don't
That's
smoke
interesting.
doesn't make you less or more or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, the thing that should be on all of our minds, I would hope, is the fact that this plant has so many benefits that we haven't even touched on because we couldn't have because it was illegal and the funding didn't get put into the studies that were needed.
It didn't benefit anyone in power enough to reveal that information.
Or it even did at some points and they were too afraid of it, so they
Right.
kept it under wraps,
Right.
right? And so
The racist campaign had spread too far enough. They couldn't
they
risk
couldn't
their
pull it
reputation.
back, right? They couldn't go back on all of these hundreds of thousands of dollars that they spent fighting this crazy thing that, like, as far as I'm concerned, just makes me eat my entire kitchen. And if that's crazy, I'm here for it. But really, like, again, it's just you want cannabis to be as inclusive as possible because no one person gets to dictate to anybody how cool or uncool, how this or not this they are based on how they choose to use. If you woke up and decided to put this plant in your body, that should be a win for all of us.
It's lit.
Really though, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a win.
It's not
Yeah.
a pill.
It's not a
I guess
pill.
I've never come across that type of like judgment within the community that I can remember. But I understand that like it makes sense that it would come up.
You probably haven't tuned yourself to
and I
that
also
frequency.
think generationally maybe that happens a
Yes.
lot. Like I think old stoners are like, oh, I just want to like smoke the shit that I smoked. And,
Or they come
back
into
in
the
day.
store, and what a lot of partners have shared with me is the ones that come in and is like, well, I've been smoking since before you were born, and you're like, okay. But
know
like,
about
what
chirps?
relevance does that have?
What's your
Because did you
favorite
see
chirp?
what you guys were smoking back
Yeah.
then? I can show you a picture.
Yeah.
and we can talk about it, but again, so you're never going to break through maybe those mentalities, but I just mean within our own space. And
Yeah.
the people that choose to work within legal cannabis, I think there's a real opportunity to come together on many more occasions. And that's, I
Yes.
think, what I learned the most when I worked at Trek. Trang founded, I think, still to this day, one of the most beautiful cannabis companies that has existed. And, shout out to Weed Me because they're now carrying the torch on. But
Nice.
this concept that, it was community forward and that, a part of the proceeds would go or be donated back into the community. And, that allowed me to work with retailers to teach them that, care about the 5-kilometer radius around your store because that's your community and that's what you can have a direct impact on. So if there's like,
Yes.
if there's something in your area that you're passionate about, maybe it's a homeless shelter, maybe it's a women's group, maybe it's, for at-risk youth, whatever it is, you do have the capacity to show up in a community and show them that you can do good. And
I
so
love that
was
concept. If you feel like you're contributing to your community in any way, please share with us down below. Pop any links.
Oh,
What's
there's
going on in your
so
community.
many retail. Like my
Yeah.
brain, I want to sit here and be like, and this retailer, and I'm so sorry, but dank wafers has hit me. So like, I really gotta keep on point.
I mean, like
That's just what we just smoked,
What was
everybody.
Dosey Do, brand new, out at the OCS
So, yeah,
now.
Dank Craft.
Craft,
This
congrats.
is so
It's our
dope.
new
We've been
brand.
having some great pride to share.
Yeah.
We've been,
Well, it's a good one.
we've been there's such a joke about swinging to do with this shirt. There's for sure.
I'm sure there's many things.
I wore this. I
Oh
wore this
my
at an
God.
event, and I had so much.
Did you guys know that?
No,
This is me
I wore
learning
it to
this.
that, and I took the sweater off, and you could see a couple of people be like, "Huh." because they didn't think it was weed because I was at another event.
Right.
Like,
Oh my God.
Again, right? People's minds,
I
but
would go there.
who knows? But yeah, Dankcraft is the new
No.
brand, brainchild
Yes.
of, the team at Muskoka who I just
Doing
can't
great
say
work.
it. Honestly, I can't say enough about, I think we're up to 85 employees now, which, is so powerful. And,
That's
in Bracebridge,
huge.
right? And up north. And so again, for anybody that wants to come up for a tour, you don't have to be in the industry. That's one of the really cool things about our facility is that we let consumers in, we let, anybody that wants to just be close and learn about the plant. Because again,
Y'all
the more
care.
the more we rip this like transparency layer off and we show people, again, we make it accessible, no different than like, well, why I can go and to a distillery.
Yeah.
I can go down the street and literally there are
Right.
X number of breweries,
We
right?
really need to go.
But now, oh yes, we'll get
We
you
will,
up.
yeah.
But so come and see what we're doing. But Dankcraft is this just concept where. Yeah, I shouldn't because like I will make no sense. Like I want to show everybody I'm super cool and I can
No
smoke a
pressure.
bunch.
No.
But my brain will just be like,
Just
"Boop,"
impulse,
and
just
my
impulse.
dyslexia will come in and it'll just be like a hot
we're
mess.
not judging how much
No-
or how little.
just that you put it in your body.
And also, like that's a smart decision because we've fucked up a couple people on this show.
And I have witnessed it. So I was like prepping and I was like, okay, these are the things not to do.
Yes.
One, don't just keep smoking. You're going to want to, but don't do it. Two,
Yep.
bring a water bottle. But then Ellevan came in and was like, what free kombucha?
Yeah, I know.
Ew.
I got gifted a kombucha at the
Because
store.
we're
I love
blessed
that.
and
Sorry,
highly favored.
kombucha.
Yes, I love it.
Kombucha, saying it like this,
Okay.
this white girl that just learned about it. The kombucha.
It was a kombucha. So Muskoka grown, John Fowler, Berry Blaster, Coco's
Berry
Cookies,
Blaster,
Dank
Berry
Wafer-
Smash-
Sorry,
Smasher.
Berry Smasher.
That's cool, but I like
Um,
Blaster better.
And you, you guys used to give the little dime baggies.
We still do.
I love that.
We still do. That's a John idea because again, like
Classic.
back in the day, like
That's
I don't know.
what you want.
You just got to figure it out. You got to do it on the budget you have. And again, Muskoka went through a bit of a turbulent time, and
That's
there
the
was
best,
a lot
though.
of, it was, but there was a lot of tough decisions that had to be made,
course.
and there's all, that. But what we really worked for was the comeback kid. Like we wanted to be the comeback kid of the summer. We wanted to take
And you are.
any and all feedback, which was very colorful, and every single piece of feedback was addressed, like at the top level.
Oh, man.
And the reason we did that was because, like, again, if we're not listening to our customers, our retail partners, our consumers, and we're just making decisions, at quote unquote the top, although Muskoka is a flat organization, which is again really cool.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I don't know what that means.
Meaning, like, we don't have like a,
No hierarchy.
it's not a hierarchy. Meaning, like,
Oh.
John, like
not
you
totalitarianism.
can get to John, right? Like it's not like a CFO and then
Right.
It's not corporate as
SVP and a
fuck.
VP and then a manager
Right,
and an
okay.
executive
So-
and all of these layers, right?
Yeah.
Where
Because John's
somebody
been in
that's
the
down
game.
here doesn't get to reach the CEO. Like, so that's what's cool
That's
with Muskoka.
so
So
fucking
every
sick.
time somebody shared a piece of feedback on, and we, read it, we screen grabbed, we shared it. And then what we did was we wrote the list and we started to pick off the things. What are the things we can do quickly that can show that we're listening? And then what are the conversations we can have to let you know that we've heard you and we're working towards making those active changes?
This is all you want.
And so then that's, again, we've had some really awesome, again, success thanks to like everybody that supports us. And then we figured out, like, let's do Dankcraft. And the whole concept of this brand is that, you can have quality craft grown cannabis at a price that doesn't break the bank. So some people like to save a bunch of their money up to buy that craft piece because at the end of the day, it's awesome. And there's so many incredible brands
We're
that
smoking. We got some. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like-
we try them in this.
Oh yeah, I mean I saw them here. You black
Yeah.
market, you got Carmel, right?
Like the
all
platinum grapes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, organic craft. Ooh,
Crazy.
hello.
Yeah.
I always
Love.
say I'm a consumer first, and I
Yeah.
work for a company second. So
Yeah.
I'm smoking everybody's
It's
stuff.
I mean, it would be silly to just not try anything. And
Well, if I
always
walked
say-
into a store and I was like, "Hey guys, I've got the best stuff. My stuff's awesome, super great. Have no idea about anybody else's like
Yeah.
stuff. How trustworthy am I?" Or if I could
Yeah.
walk in and I could be like, "Wow, you have
good. Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
Here we go.
So good.
Craft Animal Face, cookies, blends by Wink. Like, you've got that. That's sick. You know, and then you start having that conversation about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Because the other cool thing about cannabis that I think we often look for is you always look for like a positive or a negative, right? So you could smoke something and you could smoke something and both of you have a different experience.
Yeah.
But that is not indicative of it being a bad product.
Say it
Speak on it.
again.
So
Speak
that's
on it.
the really cool and interesting thing about cannabis is that it's not that it was like terribly made. I mean, in some cases, yes, for sure. But just because like I smoke something and I'm like, oh my goodness. So like, I'll give you an example. Caramel Animal Face, like I smoked that and it is so beautiful. It tastes nice, the burn, the ring, everything. But like my brain
The high.
chemistry was like, hey, what are you doing?
Me too.
And I just, because I have anxiety and depression, and so it just like activated that. But then I have friends that, again, have anxiety and depression, and like that's one of their favorite things.
Yep.
So never would I say, oh, I don't like that. It's just, it didn't work for my body.
That's so right.
Totally.
But then I'm still like, go buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And also another layer on top of that is I had the same experience with Animal Face, and I had extreme burnout, which I haven't had in like much of actually in the legal market, like because I don't do any of the like value stuff.
Yes.
I think that obviously potentially, but Animal Face, everyone was going crazy for it, and I was like, nah, not for me. We just tried it again this morning, and I had a fantastic experience.
See?
Yeah, it was.
So-
it was
And-
their
but this-
infused,
The
King
infused.
Cone.
The king. I
Yeah.
saw that, yes.
And this was, you know, I didn't smoke too much of it also. So this is the thing is that like, I think
Dosage.
I've been realizing that your relationship with cannabis, you have to be all in. Kind of unfortunately, a little bit if you're a new user,
toss yourself.
you have to toss yourself in this before you're going to see like some mad benefits of the plant, and that might be uncomfortable. And I can see why people wouldn't get to the other side of that. They'd say, "No, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this aside." And
Well, 'cause you
that
have
makes me.
one-
I'm like, oh shit. There's so many people that are going to be missing out because they exactly have one or two experiences that are not necessarily what they perceive as favorable to them, and they're like, fuck, it's not for me. And I'm like, damn, we need to be talking about this. There's trial and error in this consumption process.
You have to regulate, just like being on meat and off meat. Like when I was doing veggie, if I had a couple bites of burger, I'd be like, whoo, like meat, like red meat. It was like overwhelming, right? And now I'm like full on, like I can eat a steak.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just a regulation of your body with this substance, like anything.
And that's why I think it's so cool. Because again, it's
so cool.
It is. It's so great. And I love working in cannabis, and I love meeting people, and I love talking about it. And
Also, kudos to you because you got in it right at the start,
Yeah.
right? Like,
no, actually, I didn't. I hovered on the periphery. So I didn't start at legalization, and because what I wanted to do was I wanted to see what was happening. I wanted to understand the players, and I wanted to know what the LPs essentially stood for. And then, you know, one day in April, I was cruising on LinkedIn and came across Trang, the founder of Trek, and sort of the work there, and just her. And I literally sent her a message, like then and there, because I'm very bold on LinkedIn. That I started when LinkedIn came out. I was like an adoptee because my boss made us, and like thank goodness he did, because now I professionally stalk people on LinkedIn. Some of you may have been stalked. You're welcome. But I just sent her a message, and I'm like, I know I don't know you, but I've spent a lot of time, you know, reading and learning about your company and you and everything you stand for, and like, I would love to work for you at some point. You know, just lob it out there, right?
Wow.
You read the books, and it's like, universe says, you don't ask, you don't get.
that's
So I lobbed it out
true.
there, and, you know, she was so sweet and was just like, you know, we don't have anything now. And I was like, all right, cool. So at least it's put out there into the universe. Thank you so much. And so come September, I think it was, I saw the job description pop up, and I was like, what?
2020?
2020, yeah. 2019.
yeah,
Because 2020 is COVID. Honestly, don't even know anymore.
Don't
Have
know.
no concept of
Yeah,
what
the
year,
next couple of years,
time,
you just
date.
don't know.
Before COVID. And so then I went back onto LinkedIn, and I was like, just so you know, I've applied. I'm sure that there's going to be a multitude of candidates, but like if you could just keep an eye out for my resume. And then, you know, went through the process and was lucky enough to be the one selected.
What a good follow-up.
Yeah, but it was all about figuring out what company that aligned with my values of who I was. And so I joined that team, and that team allowed me to meet so many amazing retail partners across the whole province. Like there's very few of us that do this job that have the whole province.
Yeah, there's no one.
Right? No, there is. There's a lot. Like there's, again, just showing all the love to Carmel today, Johnny. Like he was my ride or die buddy who was like the only rep in the market at that,
And we started our day with a Carmel.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Or Ruben at PAX, like him too, like he was such an integral part of like when I first started teaching me the ways of how to be a rep. But all of this to say that I came into cannabis because that company stood for something,
So
and allowed me to
heart-centered
allowed me to think community. And I think that that's where you are now seeing what has been built out of all of those years, is this concept that I will connect anybody at any time in cannabis if it will help two parties out.
Yeah,
Why not?
You're so complimentary when you introduce someone too. It's like you can really feel the boost of energy that you want.
It's a skill.
It's a very
Special skill.
important, incredible, rare skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so good. I'm even working on it myself to introduce
I
people
know,
with the
me
highest
too.
and greatest
Look
and
at our
relevant potential.
introduction.
The introduction was amazing. Firstly, I've never been introduced, so that was like I'm good now. I don't need to be introduced ever again.
The first of many, my friend. Sure. Can I ask you a wow question that you can choose to answer or not?
Oh, is that? Can I be like? Bam?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
don't want that one.
I should get a button.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think makes a product sell in a retail store? What do you think does it?
Oh, honestly, it depends. I always think it's the people. Like, so I was lucky enough to be taught very early on by my dad, who I'm sure will watch this at some point. So, hey,
Hi,
bud.
what's
Hey,
his
my
name?
dad.
Michael.
Michael. Hi, Michael.
And my stepmom, Noreen.
Noreen.
And I guess we'll say
Congratulations.
mom as well. So there's like the three of them. But anyways, my dad taught me the very early age that, you know, sales are a byproduct of relationships.
Let's go!
Yeah. And so, you know, even when we were young, like
Fuck.
I remember, my parents got divorced when I was 6, and so, you know, back then it's like early 80s, like you're
Yep.
kind of like cool, like, or early 90s, like I don't know what to do with my kids. It's like, let's take them to Tim Hortons, you know. And so he was like, right, because like that's at least 45 minutes of them sitting there with chocolate milk and a bagel, and you could just be like, okay, cool, and then you're like, what do you do with them next? Like I don't really know. So we would go, and one of the things that my dad always taught me was like, if somebody's wearing a name tag, like always make a point to say like their name or to speak directly to them, because
this.
that makes a connection point. It also shows that you're paying attention, because like, you know, Linda woke up and put her tag on. Well, maybe, you know, Tim Hortons last made her, but
Dude.
Linda's got a name. So like by having that moment, you pull somebody out of whatever they're dealing with to just be in the present with you. And that's such a cool concept. And so that's what I've used. So I think when you asked about like what makes a product sell, I think it is the relationship with the people at the retail level. Because if you have a relationship with them and you understand why they do what they do, what makes them tick, what's important to them, what's not important to them, you can then work together to figure out if that product will sell. But like, please stop square peg round holing things where it's like you just, or what we call in the Bevan family, the old show up and throw up, where you're like, here, blah, it's all about me, blah, 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 okay, bye. And then you leave. And it's like, wait a minute, what did you actually learn about that person that you just spewed all that information about? At the end of the day, what you're holding is not the thing that you need to focus on. The person in front of you is what you need to focus on. And then everything comes after that, because your products will change. You might get delisted. All of a sudden, someone comes out with a competitive product at a better price point, and now you're not number one, and you're, you know, and so but that person's still going to be there.
Yeah.
But also those people will rotate. So, you know, you might, you know, have met, you know, you in your position, and then all of a sudden you're over here. And that's so cool, because now we take take that relationship into this new retail space, but this hasn't changed. It's just that's changed.
Yes, that's
right.
Well said. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. Great answer. Incredible.
I think that, and we need to hear that, because I think the turnover in retail stores is a lot. Like for any retail store, I think it's a lot.
I think
a retail store
particularly
is a hard job, to be totally honest. It's
Customer facing, like intensely like that, with everybody bringing their own stuff at you. Like,
yeah.
I'm just having a terrible day, and so I'm going to walk up and I'm going to throw up all over you because you're easy and you're serving me, so I already think you're lower than me because you're serving me. And then it's like, right? Or you get the people that are like so incredibly happy, and you're just like, this is like so much for my little introverted self to handle right now.
Yeah, it was just really
So humility.
it was a lot. It was big. It's a lot to hold, I think, if you care about it and you do that. So like, hey, get out of here.
You mentioned something really special, which is the name tag thing.
Oh.
And I grew up, my dad was a waiter. So I've always watched deeply how people treat the help.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So that just spoke very much to my heart, because you're right. You lose yourself in a moment there where you're like, you're just pure consciousness. Like, so what, you have this job or whatever side we're on.
You're
of
still a
whatever.
human.
You're a human, and we're here right now in this moment together, and like, that's all that matters. When you trigger that with someone's name.
And don't get it twisted. Like, I mess up all the time. Like, I say things or I do things that's like, don't look at me and think that like, oh, every time I walk into a situation, I'm good. No, I've got a lot to learn.
I blurt out anxious shit all the time.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? The anxiety component. So
yeah.
sometimes I can seem
I made
like
an awkward joke at a
tell
sex
me.
shop the other day.
Oh, what a-
Yeah,
you know what?
It
That's the
wasn't
place
awkward.
to start.
I said, "Isn't this awkward?" As though like, because I tried to move and she, like, blah, and I was like awkward, and they were both just like, "No, it's not." They were both just like, "It's a sex shop. Grow up." No, it's not. And I was like, I can't wait to get out of here.
Oh,
like,
see,
like,
no.
one of those moments.
I would have
like,
I'd been like,
like,
bleh.
yeah,
I hope
did.
the earth.
I was just like, okay, great, have a great, bye-bye. I'm
Thank
like,
you so much.
That
Yeah.
doesn't seem very welcoming to someone who might be newer and uncomfortable to
It
that
wasn't.
sex
True.
shop.
And
That's very true.
It's because I was the white straight guy there, dog. I was like, you can't. I'm the bad one. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I just
Yeah,
went there.
change that attitude.
I'm sorry.
Was
No.
that the
That's
attitude
your
you walked in
insecurity.
I
with?
know that. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Hey.
in that moment. It seemed like that. It seemed like I was.
Yeah,
being,
because-
like I was being judged. But
Yeah,
I just felt like
absolutely.
that. Fuck, that took a left turn into my insecurities.
I think you probably
Ew.
were being judged, but maybe not the fact,
Anyway.
not because you're white and straight.
Not to self-victimize myself any further from a position of privilege. But
I always like to
amazing
ask
answer.
people, when did you get into weed? What was your early relationship with weed?
First relationship with weed, 16, 15. What grade? Yeah. I guess it would have been 16. Yep. 16, went to, Jessica Doyle, woo, her cottage. And we rolled it up, or whatever we did. Because, again, fun fact, still can't roll.
That is so
I know. And, like, everybody's like, oh, yeah, you just need to this. And I'll just spend time with you doing that.
Do you attempt it?
Girl, I sat in one of my best friend's basements. Like, when people say, like, did you attempt it? It's like, listen to this.
Do you want to learn?
Tiny basement condo in Vancouver. Tiny window to the outside world.
No.
One of those, right?
I know
in
those.
the bedroom.
Oh my
damp,
God.
damp. There's mold.
Oh,
It's
we
damp. So
lived
you're
in
like,
one of those.
you're snuggling
Fuck.
in the bed like it, we're hanging out, and she's like, okay, we're gonna do this. It's gonna, you know what?
So
E,
you don't.
I'm gonna teach you. I'm like, listen, I'm here for this. I'm fully open. I'm ready. My toe thumbs, weird. Ask me to see them in person. But yes, I'm convinced that it's the reason. There you go. They look like little toes.
Right.
I'm convinced.
I know toe thumbs.
Yeah. Who's that?
my
Who's
God,
that very
they're so
attractive
cute.
actress?
Margot Robbie.
Well, I mean, yeah. When you say that, is it Megan Fox?
Megan Fox has
She has
totems.
one and then a normal one. So
Are
you
you
can have
serious?
pairs, or you can have one normal and one
Wait,
of these.
is this a real thing?
It's a real thing. There's actually a name for it.
Oh my
I
God.
can't even remember. We'll look it up later. I don't think it's called toe thumbs, but it could be. I don't know. I'm
Thumbs
just
up.
naming it.
Thumbs up for these.
Listen, if I had $1 for every time when I was younger that was used, and all the iterations that are wildly inappropriate to use now in
Yeah.
the times,
Right.
but you can just imagine what came up. So anyways, damp, dark basement, and it's like 45 minutes deep, and she literally looks at me and she's like, "This isn't happening for you."
No, she stained your idea.
And
of
I was
self.
like, no, because I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. So can you
No.
roll it? And then, so again, for the whole time, she proceeded to roll. Even in university, like the gentleman, human that I used to buy off of that would drop it off, came pre-rolled. Because I asked, because he knew that I couldn't do it. And I didn't know, there was nothing. And I was like, if I'm by myself, and he's like, all right, I was like, I will pay you more. It's just, I am incapable. And so every time I meet a new person that's like, we're going to do this, I'm like, let's go. And I'm going to show you how we're not going to do this.
Okay.
We have a coffee table book of my progress of when I started rolling joints.
Yeah, we're
A
gonna
whole
drop it.
coffee table.
Yeah, and it's like 50. It's like 50, and we numbered them and named them.
No,
we
I think
took
there's
pictures.
20.
Is there 20?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
no, no.
this
there's
could
like
be
30 or
though
40.
a new series.
It is. It's
Starts
our-
with Winnie Ovs because amazing, but then it's like volume 2, like inner
Yeah.
plants,
Yes!
and it's just. But you know what? The whole book is just going to be this, like
Look.
little crimples.
No.
little...
You'll be so surprised.
You just have to do it like 7 times a day. You have to attempt
John,
7 times a
I
day.
need some time during
5
the day.
days a week. Yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly, I
John, it's for the
started
better
it
of
in
the
the
culture.
pandemic, and it would
Fair.
literally take me 40 minutes to roll. Like actually.
And-
Oh, I
Like
got.
the
Did you get?
process.
Oh, see, I get like.
They
like
look
a
like
card,
Frankenstein joints.
and I'd be like, I'd be like,
Oh my God,
whole and
it's so much.
smushing, and then like
You
try
gotta
to
get-
flip it. Yeah.
Something that Ev said is like you got to manhandle
Listen,
it.
if I hear again that, you just gotta take, and then you just gotta, and then you just flip it over. I'm like, okay, watch me do
flip-
it, and you're gonna see that the flip over, my brain's just like,
The flip over is
It's
my
because-
most difficult part too. Even today, like even yesterday, I was like, I fucked up a joint. Like fuck
So,
you.
here
Like
go.
get this out of my
Can
face.
I'll show you this right now. Maybe not for you, E, because I think that we have more to do on a mental, spiritual level to overcome this than
Saturday.
the physical skill.
Well, there we
Exactly.
go.
So
We'll work on that.
That's what that is. We'll set that intention. But for anyone listening that wants to learn and get their joint game up, I help myself with that get over thing by
folding it in. Yep.
and rolling it a bit so it has a natural standing like.
that doesn't help.
That doesn't help though.
No.
There is still this thing
For
where
the
it's
few
like,
of you that it helps.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. But because I can't roll 1 grammers, so I can only roll half grams.
I don't even think that mine would. I think if you,
Because
it'd be like
the roll on a 1
0.25.
gram, I don't understand. I'm like, I don't
No.
understand.
No,
how
no.
it's so big.
Oh, and I'm shaking it down, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like 0.25. Is that even an amount? And then I'm just like, rip it, put it in the bong. Ha, smoke it.
yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Not
like,
always like,
why-
yeah.
Yeah.
Why fight the fight? You know, you get your
That's true.
medicine, how you get your medicine.
That's
and mine
right.
just
Do you
is a
want to learn to roll?
1,000%. I would
Okay.
love to like roll up to
I
a
will
party
teach
and be
you.
like, "Brap."
Have you ever tried one of those machines?
Oh my God, I just made that terrible sound.
I'll
I have
make
a
sure to teach
machine.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, you have a machine because the machine didn't work for me.
Yeah, I have the raw machine. the
Does that work for you?
It does. I figured it out.
Nice.
So that is always an option, and I'm okay. Also, like, I'm okay pulling that out at a party. I'm not afraid. Oh, party. I say a party like I go anywhere. Like I'm like
I'll be at a
those
party.
social events that I only dream of doing while I'm sitting on my sofa.
You host so many though that
Yeah, you're out here.
No, not in the wintertime. The bird is
dude, I am finding
Hibernating.
it so intense already I'm trying to get to an open mic, just one I'm just trying to get to, and it's like it's fucking dark at
Right now.
4:30,
Right
dude.
now, I don't even know
Like,
what time it is, and it feels like it could be 8:00 at night right now.
it could be midnight.
It could. And I'd be like, why am I awake? For those of you that don't know, I go to bed at 9:00.
Do you actually?
Yes.
That's very good.
Sometimes 9:30, and if I'm feeling rebellious, 10.
Nice.
But then it's like I wake up, and it's so funny. Like I'll wake up to all these like work things where people are still clearly working because they're not sleeping. But but I'm like, and it would be still a time that other people would respond, but I'm like, I'm sleeping or attempting to sleep. Because
You sleep in?
no, I don't sleep in. It's just that with like chronic pain, it's a bummer. So it just drains you so much. So like I just got to get like a running head start.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm a terrible sleeper, which means like, you know, they say 6 to 8 hours for an adult. And you're like, okay, 8 hours is like dope. And I could definitely do this. So I like commit to 8 hours, mostly too, because I'm like, body, like I'm giving you the full 8 hours to try to repair yourself overnight. And if you don't, then like, we're going to talk about it in the morning. And so I just try to sleep as long as I can, but I don't sleep in. Now, I'm sure my best friend, Nick, would argue that, in fact, I do sleep in because he is an early riser. I'm also a favorite of being like, hey, could you wake me up at like 6:30 in the morning? And he'll be like, why? Because you're not going to get up. And I'm like, well, you know, if we could just start at 6:30 and then maybe if you could just come back at 7, you know, as like my alarm clock progresses. But I definitely can't sleep in, unfortunately.
Could you give me a harder shake at 8:30?
Yeah, or like be like, could it be a song? Could I wake up to like a song or,
that'd be nice.
you know, or some sort of like maybe dance
Soothing.
performance or a light, like a light that's just ever so.
Yeah, that's true. You can get those. Yeah, you know those like they softly come on?
Listen.
I'd like to get those.
And there's one that has bird sounds.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That actually is beautiful because if you think about when you go away, well, actually, maybe not everybody, but that's like the one thing I'm always acutely aware of is the sound of birds or like chickens or whatever the local, you know, bird is.
I love birds too.
Yeah,
I've always felt connected with birds.
I just love I think to your point, the sound, right? The sound of the birds is pretty cool.
I love them.
Or the ocean, the waves, like just water.
I often have those sounds going. I put on like Santa Monica
I like
beach waves and
these.
just like, but yeah, these
Yeah,
are
frequencies are good.
Frequencies. Yeah.
We'll be
Birds.
listening to these a bit on Saturday.
Do you meditate?
Yes. Well,
Do you have
here's
a practice of
Nevi.
sitting still?
So I can physically sit still.
Yeah.
Check number 1.
Yeah.
Mentally, my mind is always going 1,000 million directions at every minute of every day.
It's the most common answer.
Yeah, of course. And so I struggle with centering for sure. Have I done all the reading? Have I gone to the classes? Do I go to therapy every week? I've been going 12 years strong.
Amazing.
You know, I do
That's
the
where the
things.
self-awareness-
That's where the self-awareness comes.
So
but it's like, hey, if we could just make that connect, we probably wouldn't have to go as long. But, you know, here we are. It's always a general learning, but therapy is that way.
And it's a long journey in that respect of finding the version of yourself that has the metaphysical practice down pat. It's reintroducing yourself to the identity that does have that practice, because we still have pieces of our reality that are like depending on the fabric of our behavior currently that don't have those disciplines. So it's often like envisioning like the whole new version of self, which is crazy to do if you're not in a practice of envisioning. But it took me 2 years of trying to sit down, put on a guided meditation, diagnose Tourette's, definitely ADHD, autistic scale even maybe, you know, and my mind for sure. And I wanted to get rich. I was like, I read Think and Grow Rich, and it led me to so much more. Like so much more that my priorities even changed and became mindful, and well, their background to wealth is good too. Yeah. But like generally, yeah, like it came with the immense pressure that I thought there was going to be a result at the end of being able to have mastered this practice. So I adamantly attempted it with failure daily or every time I tried for like 2 years. So I know how hard of a journey it can be. Fascinating though that you have such a great perspective on life without that. I feel like I was like so much more unhappy, whereas like you've come to terms with some like chronic pain.
There's a lot I've
You're
had to come to terms
Yeah,
with.
but like you're at peace with it through self-awareness. So that's obviously lots of the therapy work then. Or are you just like this? Do you have really good parents that instilled this understanding with you early on? Why are you so dope? Without meditating. I mainly ask meditation to be
It's
like,
why am I so dope? I didn't think of myself as dope, but
hey,
cool.
you should
Thank
now.
you.
You're welcome.
I'm working on it. I'm working on those like self-affirmations and like,
Yeah.
you're a good person.
love
Do I
thyself.
have great parents? Absolutely. Yes. For sure. So that is the foundation. But I guess I realized that like, this is like the universe is just going to keep giving me what it thinks I can handle is what I was told at some point somewhere along the line. And whether I read it or whether
Beautiful.
I was at
Beautiful.
a mental health retreat, whatever it may be. So every time something happens or, I have another setback with health or, my mental health, I'm just like, okay, so somewhere the universe thinks that I can handle this. And like, what do I have to learn from it? Or, what do I just need to be okay with recognizing about myself based on, these things? And I figure like chronic pain for anybody that has never experienced it is like one of the most horrific things. It's just because it's so grating on your mind every day to be like, I'm in so much pain, but I have to be out there doing things. And so that's where I get my energy is like from a lot of people. Like, you guys are prime examples of like, I, had a migraine coming over and I'm like, I can do this. But then I'm like here and then, you're with people that have such good energy. And so I just try to surround myself with people that have good energies and connect people. And I think in a way that's like where I find, where I can be comfortable with like, okay, at the end of the day, I'm hanging my boots up and like, it was like a 10 on the pain scale, but I met all of these really cool people. I had all of these experiences. So you know what? We'll go to sleep and we'll do it again and we'll figure it out. And it's just about figuring it out every day.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah, I mean,
tough.
sometimes maybe it's not worth it. Like, yeah,
Right.
for sure. There's days where it's like really hard, and I'm so grateful to have like, a boss like John and a company and some of my other past employers where I've just been so very honest to the point that one HR company in cannabis was like, why are you telling them this? Like, you don't have to, right? And I was like, you're right, I don't have to. And this is what HR is there for, is to hide all of this stuff from employers. But I figure, let me get out ahead of this. Let me tell you all of the ailments and treasures that I come with. And if at the end of the day, you're okay with all of that, and you know that I'm going to give you 110% of what I have, then that's going to be a really cool relationship that can go so much farther than you trying to suck it up at work when your whole world may be falling apart. This idea of not bringing emotions into the workplace. Like, I definitely agree to an extent because there's like a really fine line. But I think that we have to recognize that human beings were never really taught to feel, these big emotions and then bottle it up to move over to act a specific way and then go back into that. Like, that is a lot to ask of a person.
Yeah.
Right? But if you have like, John and I message him and I'm just like, hey, let me know if this is too much information.
So good.
This is what I'm dealing with today. And he just knows, right? He knows that I'm completely dedicated to my role and that when I am feeling great, like, you're going to get, all of E, and on the days where I'm not, you're going to be okay with that too. And I'm so grateful for that. And I hope it encourages and inspires other people. I mean, it may backfire. I did get a good, they could be like, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want to work with you. And I'm like, guess what? I don't want to work with you. And that's how I phased you out. So, ergo, I win. Because I don't want to work for you anyways. But you know what I mean? It's just, I think if we could learn to be just a little bit more human in the business world.
Yes.
And that's where cannabis is really, I think, beautiful, because I'm, so many people will message and we'll be chit-chatting, or I'll see somebody post something that they've taken the courage to put onto social media about how they're feeling. I mean, the least I can do is just send a note off, right? Like, what is that 2 seconds of my time to just make that person feel seen or feel heard. Because I think at the end of the day, as human beings, you just want to feel seen by somebody, right?
Totally.
So true.
So I just try to, I guess, make people feel seen.
This idea that we had to like split off and do things by ourselves because that's more honorable if you don't
That's
like
your
have
ego.
anyone helping you. It's like more,
make
like,
you an individual.
yeah,
right?
like I did this. No one fucking fucked with me. I did this all by my fucking self. Like that is like a pillar of success in our society, to be totally honest.
It
like,
is.
That's the hero's journey that we like, we love to see that journey where like a hero like is trying and then he gets knocked down and then
Come
The
back,
underdog.
kid. Yeah, the underdog. Everybody loves the underdog story.
and he did it himself, and it's like, fuck, that's a lot to expect of everybody. Like,
It's very
this is why we have community.
And also too, like, why can't that person, like, why is it not okay for that person to have gotten help? Because it doesn't make you any less of a success because you did it
Right.
on your own. And I would argue that, recognizing that all of the people along the way that got you there is much more impressive than I just did this by myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an illusion, isn't it?
Yeah, because like, guess what? I bet you maybe you had a partner that was at home that was cooking your meals while you were in your little zone doing your thing. Well, that's still somebody that allowed you to get to that space you're at, right? But if you're like, I did this by myself, or then
You guys are both operating in the divine feminine,
Thank you.
which is great.
sick.
Which
I don't
is
even know what that
community.
means, but I'm here for it.
There's the divine masculine, which is a little more progress-based, logic-based.
Yes.
We're all both.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
like I've always said, I have like my boy brain and my girl,
Yeah,
like
so you have
not to
masculine and
genderize
feminine.
it.
Yeah.
Again, being
But general nature has genderized itself in just our perception
We could
of
be
it.
looking at it as like positive and negative, like
Yes.
those
Just black and white. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
like
whatever. Exchange
opposite,
here.
whatever, one
Yeah.
and one that are not of each other.
Without,
Yes,
with-
I have a brain that looks at things very specifically this way, like,
Logic.
and then,
Creative.
but I'm also just such an emotional bird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're operating with the divine feminine because you're bringing feeling into your communication, which is so good because that's the important work we have to do right now.
Yeah, like, and corporate shouldn't be
So you
afraid
need
of
to
that.
lead.
Like for so long, women were like basically told not to have any emotions in corporate, like in corporate work,
like don't,
right? Like don't fucking bring
hold
your
y-
shit.
Don't
like,
bring your stuff. Don't talk. If you talk too aggressively, then you're a bitch. And if you
Don't fucking have
if you don't
tears in
say
your
anything
eyes.
at all, then you're gonna get all walked all over. And again, shout out to my dad. But one of the cool lessons he always taught me was like, he said, you're like, again, sorry to genderize, but back in the 80s, it was, you can do what the boys can do or better.
Yeah.
So I would play all the sports, I would do all the things, and funnily enough, I tell a lot of people this story where it was like, business deals are done on the golf course.
That's
if you're
right.
going to be in sales, that at the time is where the deals were being done. So I had to learn how to play golf. Because and it wasn't like you get your cart and we'll pull. It's like no, men don't carry carts. Like, men don't use carts; they carry their bags. So you've got to walk. You've got to be able to walk and keep up at the pace. And that might sound so intense to some people, but like I tell you again, it's crafted me into who I am now, which is just recognizing that like. All right, cool. If this is like, if someone's going to put a limit on me, I could do it or I could be better and then maybe I should try.
Maybe I should try.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah.
Big up. Big up yourself.
Michael Bevan.
Yeah.
we were watching this new Shaq documentary on Crave.
So good.
Do tell, because I flipped through that and I was like, do I want to watch it?
It's so good. I thought it was so good.
We opted for Wednesday, the new show.
How's that?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Now, on Netflix, like Wednesday Addams.
Yeah,
It's
she actually, I saw a trailer for it. I was like, this actress is great.
This actress is, I mean, to own that, like, sorrow.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
fantastic.
she's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I might check that
So
out.
I'll add that. But back to Shaq.
Well, you were like, this might sound intense, and like that's what I was thinking when I was listening to his story. It was like they'd be like our dad was like the best, the most loving, and then they'd be like, but like we'd get a whooping, and like it's like, whoa, that does sound intense, but at the same time, Shaq isn't going to be the person he had become without that beginning. So I'm very like, we've been talking a lot about how I don't know shit. I don't know anything.
I know nothing.
I know fucking nothing. And something like that makes me feel like I don't know anything, because to my eyes, maybe that sounds like some type of child abuse. But then Shaq wouldn't be who Shaq is. So like,
Or if you saw the King Williams, like the, Serena and Venus,
Exactly.
like, that intensity, but that, that
It's
worked for that family. And I think, again, to each their own, and do you.
that's what I'm learning more. I'm like, I said today, I was like, I'm in the business of staying out of other people's business.
Yeah.
That's got to be on a card.
I know.
I think Winnie could, you two both could have, like, I think this is the thing. You guys have to have, like, a multitude of cards that have different, like, of your sayings, though.
That's a good idea.
We used to do in the printing days where, businesses would come, they're like, ooh, we want a variety of patterns on the back because, like, we want to, give them out. And everyone gets a different one. So, I mean, it's a thing.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Discipline Stoners has a really good future with merch.
Yeah.
Oh, T-shirts, like and your random sayings too, and
That's
put them
funny.
on random parts of the shirt.
Should we have a shirt that says, I'm in the business of staying
staying
out
out
of other
Yeah.
people's
A
business?
thousand.
I think
You
so.
need to.
Yeah, we got a couple
know.
bangers right
The
there.
good news
down.
is you can watch this.
Hey!
That's right.
Is anyone recording?
Is this a replay?
Episode 117, shirt idea.
Shirts. It's where the shirts were born. Well, no, and then talking about ideas,
anything.
totally random, but I don't know if you've admired my beautiful smile.
I actually
ring.
have. I've seen this.
Santa Ela, I think I'm saying it correctly. Yeah, Santa Ela. But I was at the hospital recently at Women's College Hospital. Don't worry, I'm good. But 5 different women stopped me. Like, as I'm decrepit in my, like, wheelchair, and they're putting me around to the whatevers. And they're like, where'd you get your ring? And so I'm talking, it's Colombian artisans who make the,
Just representing even
well,
when you're like,
I mean,
fucking-
if there's a chance that this, again, because I love this brand. And so,
good.
anyways, this fast forwarded to me going, and I just, like, had this moment where I thought of this business idea. And anyways, I reached out to Jess, who's the owner of this company, and we talked today about this idea that I had in the wheelchair about this ring. And so yeah, you can, like, ideas can kind of come from anywhere,
At
right?
any time.
Yeah, if you love something. So that's why I think, again, I'm always big on plugging things or people that are doing good things, because like, this gives back to artisans who are beautifully, like, crafting and keeping their craft alive. And so I'd rather do this than, like, a ring that was mass produced somewhere else. And if this
1000%.
can make somebody smile or just think of something like that, again, that's that second of interaction together.
Yeah.
So I think
How did you find that?
Oh, my girlfriends, Shelby and Abby, own Makeway so it's a female sneaker shop. So they get all the dope drops. It's the first one of its kind, I think. I want to say, like, definitely Ontario for sure.
Female
But
sneaker shop?
yes.
Do they have large sizes?
They do.
Good, because I need some pink J's.
Oh, well, this is the place to go.
Size 15 females.
Size 15. Well, I mean, they're definitely the ones to talk to, if nothing else. But they're in Stacked Market. They also own
my God, that's right there.
Makeway, which is a sneaker design. So you take your sneakers there and you can design them yourself.
Oh, that place. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So again, you can go there and get these great gifts too, as well. Like,
Yeah,
Looks
hit up
very
Stacked-
comfortable.
oh well, do you
Hit
want to
up
give it a
Stacked
go?
Market.
Sure.
Might be sweaty.
Thanks.
I'm still nervous. I don't know what I'm
No,
doing.
you get so sweaty
The
when you
honesty
do
is
this.
there.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Okay, good.
Every time. We get
like,
stinky.
When I get up, it's like my ass is wet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a tidbit.
It's like I always
fact that you may
wanted
not
to
know.
do this. I was like, I could do this, no problem. It's, again, sitting in my
Killing
home
it.
by my, sitting
That's
in my home.
nice.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that's great. That's just
It
a
looks
nice
cool.
And it's
little
breathable.
hug.
It's like, it's not, but again, you see that and it makes you smile. So this
Yeah.
concept of like, is there a piece that you
God.
could wear that could make, you know, a talking point of,
It's those little beautiful moments that you keep creating in your life,
you.
keeping things
well,
light.
think about ideas and then,
Smile.
you know, yeah, I don't know.
That's so good.
I
Congratulations.
like your reach out attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well.
What's the worst they're gonna say? That's a terrible idea. And it's like, oh well, you know, cool. I've had a lot of those. But you know what? For every 10 terrible ideas, you might have one that's really awesome that could, you know, move the needle forward. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Or
might as well
something.
as brought it up.
I'm learning
Yeah.
that in comedy. Oh my God. I cringe when I go back and look at the stuff that I've written
Okay,
over the
can
last
we just
week.
take a moment though and talk about Winnie, because
She's not even a year in.
not lit. Honestly,
Not even a year in.
didn't even. I pushed so hard to have her. I was like, Winnie's got to perform at our event.
Thank you.
Winnie has to perform because I think she's hilarious and also girl power and, you know, just like
Thank you so
switching it up
much.
and, you know, female getting, you know, representation that's different, right? We all have heard male jokes over the years, but Winnie, funniest I've ever, I can't even
Thank
like,
you
and
so
you were
much.
looking Ellevan directly in the eyes at these like moments where I was like, and I'm watching you, looking at him, looking at you, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. It was so funny. You are so
you.
good at your craft.
Thank you so much.
And please do not stop because the world needs more Winnie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm having such a great time. I'm just building that habit of
it's just been given to
writing
me.
more consistently.
Yeah.
And that's just, I'm finding it tricky, finding resistance around it. When it comes, it comes. When it flows, I love it. It feels
You're
like
just-
it feels like God's flowing through me, and I just write it down. And like most of the stuff that I've written so far, like it will flow out like that, and I'll write it all down with like inclination and nuance, like as I'm writing it, and I will perform it like that. Like it feels very godly when I do write. And so to not feel like that and like have to like sit myself down and like not have those sensations.
You're not in
writing,
flow
it
at the
just,
point,
like,
right?
Yeah,
That's
like,
when you
I'm
just
like,
close
what's
out your book,
What's
maybe.
the fucking point?
Just close your book and walk
but
away.
I think there probably is a point.
Yeah.
I just haven't done it consistently enough to find the point.
I'm still searching for the point. It'll come.
But I really appreciate that, and I appreciate being on the show. Please extend my thanks to John. I
On it-
said thank you to him as well. And
We've talked
it means
about
lot.
it a lot, and just
Yeah,
She
no,
good.
it was cool.
Less
All
than a
week I was
year.
like, I have my first corporate gig.
Pissed me off. Pissed me off how good she is in less than a year.
why?
Because I did stand up. I wasn't that good in that
But
manner.
you were a baby.
I was a baby. No, I'm just kidding. I was pretty good.
But it is kind of frustrating when you like worked really hard and then someone just
She's-
like waltzes in and they're just like, oh, here's my stuff. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, what? You didn't take 1,000 courses and like you aren't doing this? What?
Exactly.
But
No,
I'm
I'm totally
15
kidding.
years later than when you
exactly.
started.
Ah.
I did stand up when I was 20.
Yeah.
Well,
you
so,
started
and I
as a
bet you
baby.
20-year-old
Okay.
material and now material
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
wildly
So
different,
different.
right?
I'm not judging myself that hard, but I'm saying it's my way of hard edge giving Winnie a compliment. But yeah, it's so nice. It's been good to see her like chase that because
You've
like
been so supportive.
bless, it's awesome. It's fun to go out. I mean, I found the venue for Rhythm and Flow by just following you around. Something always good happens. Like pretty much like I get to like I connected with you because I followed her into the legal cannabis industry.
Yeah, and then I was just like,
Like-
oh, this is your partner? Cool. Hey, Instagram, which is where I developed most of my relationships in cannabis.
Same.
It was just talking to people. And
Yeah.
even still now, like, I've been in, I guess, 2.5 years or something I've been doing this, and there's people I still, like...
Yeah, you were early.
Okay, so me and you started at the same time then, 2.5
We did,
years.
yeah, because
1922.
when you guys were there, I was like,
Okay.
hey, but I
Okay.
dealt mostly with Luke at the time,
Yeah.
and you were never in the store anytime I came by, never.
I swear.
I was like, is
I
she
was
here? I
working
was like,
full-time.
I was like, she's giving a video, and I'm like, I know she's here, but like, it would have just been like a shift change or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, no,
terrible
we just-
timing.
yeah, I just missed
and
each
then I
other.
remember being like, hey, I'm dropping this box off for a donation bin that you guys are doing for me. Okay, thanks, bye. Because I also like,
I love
I get
that
so
bin.
intimidated by people sometimes too. Like walking into a store can be intimidating.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of energies and like a lot of sometimes judgment judgment unnecessarily. So like I go in and I'm like, I should probably tone it down because I can be a lot sometimes. And that's, again, just my anxiety building up. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in and be really on fire. And I recognize that that's a lot for some people. And so I do need to, like, be more aware of my affect on others. I think it's a good is that right? Affect, I think.
Sure,
I
yeah.
never know those
check
difference.
This awareness is amazing.
I never know the difference between those two.
Listen.
I look them up every time.
The effect is like the visual effects, and the affect is like
So I say that right.
to create like a
Like,
domino
I
effect.
think one is if you isn't it
like medicine
you-
effects and then like the yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what I
gonna
think.
stop there,
That's
but
what
you
I
know
think
where
as
my
well.
brain
I
is going.
affect
Yes.
and something
affects
is
me.
affected.
Or listen, when I was there with you.
I don't know. Someone in the comments fix this.
Fix this in the
Let us know.
I affected where this was.
Nah.
I put
Nah.
this is an animated effect.
No,
effect.
that's correct. But when you say effected is used as like also in like as effect.
If
as
I
well
drink,
sometimes.
if I have that Bovida pack, it's going to affect me
Affect you.
in terrible ways.
That's with the A.
With the E.
Anyway,
somebody help us. I swear I'm smart.
okay. What's the
Go
key
get
to
a book.
happiness?
Oh fuck.
Okay.
Oh, we got a hard stop here. We got a hard
Yeah.
stop
Okay,
because
I'll
Wynn's
get a book.
going to the ballet.
I'm going to the ballet.
To the ballet. The ballot.
Ballot.
What ballet? Is it?
It's
Is it the
based
net-
on a Margaret Atwood novel, so it's gonna be fucking dark. I bet.
Whew.
Yeah.
You're going deep
Yeah,
tonight.
that's why I was like, I
You're
need
gonna
to
need
be
some
high
deep
for this.
tonight.
You're gonna need some dank wafers
Yeah,
for the party.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, it's a functional high. Like that's the thing I like about dank wafers. And even though
Absolutely.
it's 23%, I say even though because who cares? We're chasing these numbers, but
Yeah, we're not about high THC.
The effect of this, I think, like you guys both saw me at the event, like glossy eyes, but I'm
Yeah.
still like, hey, like I can still do
Totally.
versus Coco's, which I love too, but I'm more like,
It's time to
what's
be
up?
a
Like, do you guys want to chill on the sofa?
Yeah,
Like, you know,
it's a do-si-do strain, right?
Yeah, it's do-si-do.
Yeah.
And also do-si-do strains are fantastic for pain management, nausea.
Oh.
Weirdly, like dosis and gelatos, I think are very good for
They're both
the
light.
endo friendly. Also, that's another disease I have, endometriosis. Shout out to my endo warriors. Yeah, so this helps like with pain management. Ooh, relax, you're already home.
Everyday Taoist habits for a richer life. It's so nice. We've been reading it. I'd like you to call a number between 1 and 111.
4.
Nice.
Sorry, that's my go-to number. I was like,
Good.
yeah, you can.
I just turned to chapter 4.
That works.
That
Anything
was
with a 4.
Trippy. I just
Anything
saw
with a
that.
4.
Shit.
If you, that's.
What's chapter 4? Oh no, you read that today. That's interesting.
I
Keeps
read
coming
chapter
back
4 yesterday.
on- Oh, yesterday.
The ancestor continuing with continuity with your ancestors.
We're gonna
Yeah.
We're gonna do page 4, which is chapter 1,
Oh.
and it's immersion in the Tao.
Perfect.
Beautiful. It's gonna be real good. The Taoist tradition has given rise to countless everyday habits of the ordinary people of China, habits which contribute to a rich, coherent experience of life. These everyday Taoist habits work just as well for Americans as for Chinese, though in fact, you and I practice many of them, unaware of what's behind them. Take the view of things I have from my kitchen window here in Northern California. For example, as I stare out the window, filling the teapot with water, first thing every morning, I usually see Julie from across the way coming back from her dawn run. She's beaming, cheeks flushed, walking with a lilt. And most evenings, while doing the dinner dishes in the same spot, I see Jay from the other end of our co-housing community arriving home from a brisk stroll in the park with my neighbors George and Judy.
Shout outs. George and Judy.
I'm sticking through this. They're laughing, and there's a comfortable swagger in their steps. We've all witnessed these scenes. Maybe you're the one doing the jogging or the walking. Why do these particular activities make us feel so good? Why do folks carve time out of their busy days to walk, to jog, to visit a park? The same sort of scenes occur in China, although the details are different. When my buddy Kyle and I first traveled independently in China in 1986, we'd rise before dawn and walk to the nearest park. There, we'd see crowds of people doing the graceful sweeping moves of Tai Chi or the violent lunges of Kung Fu with swords and lances. Some older folks were simply walking deliberately along a course, hands making circular movements in the chill air. When you survey Chinese art over the ages, you notice how many of the paintings there are of lone individuals or small groups of friends in the mountains or in a bamboo grove, or very frequently beside a stream. Usually these folks are playing a friendly board game or drinking tea, or often just sitting quietly enjoying the scenery. What's going on in these traditional activities? Are the Chinese participating in the same sort of experience as the neighbors outside my kitchen window? In China, at least, people do these outdoor activities because the Taoist outlook permeating Chinese culture places a huge premium on humans connecting with the forces of inheritance in the natural world. Culture places a huge premium on humans connecting with the forces inherent in the natural world.
That's it.
There it is.
There it
That's
is.
what it was for.
That's it.
That's what
And
we
that's
chased.
why, and then because you're the connector.
So good.
But you
creations.
are
Right
also
there.
connectors.
Of course.
You
we
have
are
had
connectors.
so
We're
many
here.
amazing people. Hi, Ralph.
Yeah, we have. We're really lucky. This community's backing us up. It's awesome.
it's nice to be
We're
here.
building too, so it's growing
And
constantly.
we're here as a
It's so
permanent
much fun.
fixture.
I
Yeah.
love
It's gonna be
it.
fun.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
it.
Bless you. Thank you for being part of the journey.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
So
me.
fun.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much. That was
friends.
fun. That just felt like we just hung out
Flew by.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Cool.
want to leave us with anything? Any final mementos?
Just be kind. It's a tough time for people right now, especially in our industry. So just be kind. If you see somebody on social, message them. When you walk into a store, just recognize that people have their own stuff going on. So if you can just be kind right now, I think that will go a long way to everybody, feeling a little bit more supported during the holidays, because it's not always happy holidays for people, but we like to say happy holidays, and I'm totally guilty of it,
You
but
wanna
it's
spread
not
cheer.
always happy. So just be kind, and I think that will again go a long way.
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
nice. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're the best.
Subscribe, like this video, share with a friend, find us on Patreon, buy us a coffee once a month.
Meditate,
and
be kind to your
meditate.
neighbor. See you on the show December 9th, Rhythm and Flow. And we love
you.
Yeah, I love you guys. Be kind to each other. Bye.
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 Yay.
That was so
Disciplined stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills. Well, it's helped me feel okay about my shitty social skills. It doesn't make my social skills better, but it sure does make sitting in that awkward moment in a social interaction a lot more bearable. You know, that moment where no one in the group has anything left to say, and you desperately want to yell at all of them, just say something. Being high makes that hilarious and not torture.
Yo, it's Ellevan from Anger Town. These plants just helped me chill out. Found focus, found confidence. All of a sudden I was productive, less protective, more progressive. Yeah, we talk about stuff like I'm a next sommelier, but this is about a medicine, baby. We wish everyone a mindful life. It's been a helpful tool for us. And whatever the route to peace, it's each individual's journey. And the more we communicate, maybe we can all help each other out. Love and light. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners Podcast with your host, Ellevan,
And my name is Winnie.
and we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And that's Ralph.
Hey, Win!
Oh my. Yes.
We got a new thing.
Oh, right. We need to tell you about our new thing.
Support the show now on Patreon and get a bunch of private perks. Discipline. Stoners! We get high.
And we do stuff.